I sat here in the chair on Monday and listened to President Obama, and he said the exact same thing in terms of his plan. Extend the 2% payroll tax cut, more infrastructure spending, more trade deals. This seems to be the plan that he's coming up with. I just want to start with you, Monica. Senator Jeff Sessions came out in response to that when we heard it Monday and said he is in denial, that he's calling for more spending, that's more borrowed money, and we can't afford it. That's how we got into the mess that he's trying to fix.
Yeah, no, and I respect Senator Sessions very much, but I would disagree with him on the point that the president is in denial. This is who he is. This is his ideology. He believes in Keynesian spending. He believes in the government. He believes in the power of the government, not necessarily in the private sector. So what we've seen over the last 2.5 years, Megyn, is that this administration has spent us into a Keynesian coma. $4 trillion added to the national debt over the last couple of years. And that's what's really holding back job creation. It's not just the huge overhang of debt, but it's everything that he has done in terms of policy, from Obamacare to Dodd-Frank to the stimulus, that has created such enormous uncertainty that small, medium, and large-sized businesses do not want to hire because they don't know what it's going to cost them to have a new employee tomorrow.
Let me ask you, because when we passed the stimulus, it was February of '09, right? And the unemployment was at 8.2%. It was supposed to keep unemployment below 7, and we're supposed to be around 7 at this point. We're at 9.1. Okay, so it's gone in the wrong direction. But at the time, there was a debate between the left and the right about whether it was big enough. The left wanted it to be double what it was, right? And the right said, we don't need it at all. Now here we are a couple of years later, and President Obama seems to be proposing, at least in part, another stimulus. Let people have more money in their pockets, spend more on infrastructure, and so on. And it strikes me that neither side's going to be happy with that, because if you want him to spend more, it's not enough.
Right.
And if you don't want any more spending, it's too much.
Right. That may be the case, although I think it actually gets to why he's doing all the communicating he's doing, right? So as you said, he gave the speech, a couple days ago. He's been giving the speech over and over again. But I actually think that's exactly what he needs to be doing. He needs to be setting an agenda, communicating it, and rallying people behind it.
Does this make you feel like it's going to solve the economic
Well,
jobs
I think in the speech that you just showed that he's giving now, I think he focused on how many private sector jobs have been created over the past 3 years, which he said is 2 million. Now, that's a growing economy. It's not necessarily a growing economy at the rate that we want it to be growing, and there's still a lot that we need to do, but there was spending during that time, and there was economic growth, and there were private sector jobs. So are we there yet? No, and I think the point about politics is exactly right. There are big differences right now, and for him to bridge the divide on those differences, he has to be out communicating. He has to be out talking about what his agenda is and why it's important for economic growth.
Is the talking going to work, Monica? Because the Republicans are already, because he's billing, he's going to have a major economic speech in September when he gets back from his vacation. And no sooner did we learn that than Mitch McConnell's office in the Senate, the minority leader, comes out and says, this is not the first major economic speech that we've heard. And they put out this graph showing that this will be, I think, the 8th major economic speech just since the stimulus was passed. And the Republicans are already pouncing on this, saying, what good has it done? Even Rick Perry today came out and said, and I quote, actions speak louder than words, Mr. President.
Yes, exactly. Look, the Democrats had 2.5 years, actually 2 years, but the Democrats were in control of the Congress for 2 years before Obama came into office. So grand total of 4 years, they had their shot. We allowed them to run their experiment of the massive government spending, the massive expansion of government. Here's where it's gotten us, Megyn. When President Obama was sworn into office, the unemployment rate was 7.2%. Subsequent to that, and all of the spending that, as you pointed out, was supposed to keep unemployment to 8% or below, unemployment sailed over 10%. It's now settled between 9 and 10%. They had their chance. We ran their experiment,
it's working. He would say, I had my chance, and I'm making a dent, but it doesn't happen like this.
Right. But I also think it's why he's talking. And I think, I think if he weren't talking about jobs and he weren't talking about the economy, you guys would be critical of him. And if you look back at the healthcare debate, that was the criticism, right? We were in a struggling economy, and he was focused on healthcare.
But the criticism that's coming out in response to these remarks is not, okay, he's talking, it's,
We've heard it before.
People don't seem to be moved by the plan.
We've heard it before.
But it's why he's got to do it over and over again. It's
why he has to do it. We'll move people.
Well, I think people understanding what his agenda is. I think you said it before the break. You said he was criticized for not taking the helm during the debt ceiling debate. What he is doing now is showing he's taking the helm. He has a plan. He's showing people what that plan is. I think that is very important.
We are now into his 32nd month in office, and he says, well, I'm going to go on vacation, but come the 33rd month in office, I'm going to unveil my new secret job jobs plan. Look, this guy has been in office 2.5 years, and the problem is we have heard this stump speech for 2.5 years. The American people want to see results. We understand it doesn't happen overnight, but what's clear is that his policies have actually made the economic situation worse, not better.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that's true. I think, like you said, 2 million private sector jobs in 3 years. It's not perfect, but it's growth, and we have to appreciate where there's a growing economy.
That is what the American people are going to have to decide. That you just crystallized the issue. Panel, thank you.
Thanks, Meg.
Thank you.